How do I pray? I'm sure you've asked that question at one point in your life. Early in the ministry of Jesus, as told in the Gospels, the apostles found themselves in a similar situation. When they asked Jesus, "Master, teach us how to pray." And we all know what Jesus' response was. It's what we now call the Lord's Prayer, or the Our Father.
Fast forward 2,000 years later, here we are asking the same question, how do I pray? Not only do we ask how, but why as well. And after the hows and the whys, we find ourselves asking, what do I say? How long, a minute, an hour? Should I sit, stand or kneel? Should I be in a church or a chapel to pray? Can I do it after school, on a bus, in the car on the way back from work, or kneel next to my bed just as they do it in the movies? So many questions, so many answers, when all we want to do is pray.
This year, on Youth Friday and Youth Sunday, the youth ministry team is giving everyone in the diocese, the young people, the adults, a small gift. A gift you can take with you wherever you are and take that opportunity to connect to God. It is the gift of prayer.
So where do we start? Well, with more than a 2,000-year history of Christianity behind us as an inspiration, there is no simple, straightforward answer. There are different ways, different languages, and different styles of prayer. No one is better than the other. Our reteachers, chaplains, priests, saints, theologians, famous people and writers would tell you many ways of praying. But where do we start?
We're not here to give you a definitive answer because we haven't got one. But rather, we have a suggestion. It is called the Examen. We didn't invent the Examen. It is an ancient form of prayer by an order of priests called the Jesuits, the same one that Pope Francis belonged to when he joined the priesthood.
What we're about to share is an adaption or version of the Examen. It may not be the one with which some of you may be familiar, or one that can be found in many published prayer books. This Examen is a version we thought for beginners, like many of us who are exploring the idea of prayer. Pope Francis said in one of his homilies that there are two spirits, two ways of thinking, of feeling, of acting. That which leads me to the Spirit of God, and that which leads me to the spirit of the world. And this happens in our life. We all have these two spirits, we might say. The Spirit of God, which leads us to do good works, to charity, to fraternity, to adore God, to know Jesus, to do many good works and to pray.
And the other one, the spirit of the world, which leads us to vanity, pride, sufficiency and gossip. A completely different path.
Our heart, a saint once said, is like a battlefield, a field of war where these two spirits struggle.
And so Pope Francis suggests a daily examination of conscience
that can help identify temptations to clarify how these opposing forces work.
So where do we start? First, download the free version of the Examen on our website, www.ymt.org. We've also provided schools and parishes in the diocese a digital copy of the prayer, which they may distribute in the best way they can, such as making it available to download on your school or parish website.
The guided prayer is no longer than 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes a day, you'll be able to spend time with the Lord and have a moment of stillness and silence that will help us be in tune with the Word of God.
We know that some of you are already doing this in your own time. But to those who haven't, we invite you, no, we challenge you, adults and young people, at the end of the busy day from work or from school, or a day at home, to pause for at least 5 minutes. Find your personal space and speak from your heart to God. It's your personal prayer in your personal time. No one needs to know, no one is going to check if you've passed or failed, because there is no pass or fail. Find your personal space. It could be in a church, a chapel, a bench in the park, the beach, or your bedroom. Put on your earphones, headphones, and play the Examen on your gadgets. And listen to the guided prayer and begin that conversation with God. Will you accept the challenge?